That loud rubbing noise heard round the world, it's our enemies kneading their hands in delight over America's self-loathing, spine-collapsing introspection. Iran's supreme leader called the CIA report a symbol of tyranny against humanity, and China asked the U.S. to correct its ways. So, Iran and China are telling us to stop human rights abuses. That's like Michael Moore telling Kate Moss to cut back on Twinkies. That's like Rolling Stone telling you to fact check. It's like Miley Cyrus telling a nun to put on some clothes. That's like Bill Clinton telling anyone to pull up their pants. It's like Dianne Feinstein saying, don't politicize our safety. Iran, China, they've treated their people worse than we treat our prisoners. Yet here we are at that familiar place where our media and enemies agree, isolating those who protected us over the last 13 years. Anderson Cooper, not a bad guy, said this of the CIA tactics.
When you read this, if you envision Nazis doing this, I mean, I even hate to say this, if you envision the Khmer Rouge doing this, you can imagine it. I mean, it's not that far removed from stuff they were doing.
Andy, those groups you mentioned killed 8 million people. Our CIA waterboarded roughly 40, not quite the size of your audience, but close. And they did it to save you. But you got to love China, creator of the Great Leap Forward, which killed tens of millions, and who pushed a one-child policy that disappeared millions of girls. Note to American feminists, great work exposing that. So if you're in the military, what do you do when the people you protected for so long say, so long? Don't become a cop. So, Dana, since Anderson made that statement, he tweeted that that's not what he did. He didn't mean to make an equivalent between what CIA does in Nazi Germany and the Khmer Rouge. Do you think he was, I don't know.
Well, in
the
soundbite, he says, and I even hate to say this.
Yes.
Okay. Then the next morning he says, oh, wait, obviously I didn't mean what I said.
Yeah.
But obviously he was thinking through what he said. He did say it. And
yeah.
it shuts down conversation when you call someone a Nazi.
Yes.
There's like nowhere to go from there. There's nowhere.
Yet you still do it to me. So, hey, Eric, when your adversaries agree with your point of view, isn't it time to rethink your point of view?
Probably. Yeah. It's funny. The world hates us until they need us.
Yeah.
And then they love us, and they love us for a while we're, curing Ebola and saving their people and making sure they're eating.
Aid.
Earthquakes.
Flood.
And then they hate us again once the disaster passed. We're going to fund the government to the tune of $1.1 trillion, right? They're going to sign this thing. It's going to become law. We've actually increased our foreign aid up to $49 billion. We're giving away $49 billion.
It's not that much.
It's
$49 billion in the scheme of things.
How about $1.5 billion to Egypt? How about $6 billion fighting AIDS? Listen, they all point the finger at us for the way we do things, but the way we do things, frankly, is allowing us to spend $49 billion on other countries.
So, Bob, you're a big fan of China. You've said that many times. One of your favorite countries. You love that wall.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
It is a wall you can see from space.
I wish we would build higher and they would stay where they are.
What do you, should we listen to Iran or China?
No, of course not. This seems to me to have been an ideal opportunity for Barack Obama to come out and say, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You guys, particularly North Korea, Russia, Iran, you guys, some of the greatest human rights violators in the history of the world, and you're sitting here talking about, now, I mean, again, I go back, I don't agree with what happened, but the idea that there's any kind of equivalency here is crazy.
Yeah.
And I think Obama had an opportunity to shoot right back at him and say, shut up until you get your act cleaned up, and particularly the Chinese.
Kimberly, the White House argument might
I liked what he had to say. I want to hold on to that moment.
Yeah, it was very sweet. It's sweet. And I wish President Obama would listen to Bob once in a while.
Bob's talk.
When they talk. The White House argument could be that this is why interrogation was wrong, because it allows the enemies to criticize us and claim a higher ground. But they're going to do that anyway.
But guess what? If you have thin skin, if you care, if you know that you have the moral high ground, you're doing the right thing, you're actually affecting justice and national security for other countries as well, we're helping to keep all of them safe. Because who's the first person they call when they need help? When they have people that are murdering and slaughtering and committing genocide? You call the U.S. and we answer the call. Unfortunately, now this is just proving to be one of the greatest propaganda victories for ISIS and Al-Qaeda, because they're going to be able to recruit more people, see what the Americans do. They're bad, they're evil, and then again, putting the men and women that serve overseas in danger. because there's going to be some kind of act for vengeance, retribution, for something that we don't even do anymore.
She makes a good point about propaganda, and I think that hopefully when we get past this report and the Congress can reconvene in January, there can be a focus of helping the CIA, DOD, State Department, others deal with the fact that we are going to be in a 70-year-long propaganda and ideological war.
Right.
This is not something that we're just going to be able to deal with in 13 years and move on like it never happened. They are determined, and they're going to use anything they can against us, but our propaganda and ideological war has to be superior to theirs, and right now it is not.
Can I throw one quick thing in there? So what's the big thing with Iran right now? The nuclear negotiations, right? Well, let's just turn around and say, really, you don't like the way we do business? We don't really like the way you do business anymore. But I don't understand why we're letting them go through with this. This is the worst thing in the world we could possibly do. And you think China's a big problem? Iran's going to be a big problem, especially when they have a bomb. Trouble.